Hello and welcome back to the Cricket and the King YouTube channel. I'm Ben, and today we're going to be talking about how to succeed, okay? And this is how to succeed as like a normal person with an average level of intelligence and ability, and you're just a regular person, right? But you need a job, you need housing, you need a way to survive in this challenging world, right? But you can't find the skills, or you're having a hard time deciding what path to go down, okay? I'm going to lay out clear options to make some money and be able to survive in the world, okay? I don't have any glorious course to offer saying that you'll make millions in months or whatever else, because all of that is garbage, right? Anybody that tells you that you can make millions doing this or drop shipping or selling gerbils online, whatever they're saying, those things aren't real. The person that is selling the course is making their money on promoting the course itself. They're making their money on the sales of the course, not the thing that the course is teaching you to do, right? Because if they were making millions by doing that thing, they would still be doing it, right? That's just how the market works. So there are no shortcuts to success. There's no one way to millions that's going to work instantly for everybody, okay? We have to be willing to put in the hard work. All good things come in time, right? We have to get skills, and those skills will allow us to develop income. Now, the first thing that I want to get out of the way is that your work does not have to be your passion. You don't have to be passionate about what you do to succeed in the world, right? So I'm an electrician. I'm not super passionate about electrical. I wasn't coming out of the womb being like, gosh, I want to make the lights turn on in a house, okay? But I have done that. I have my Red Seal certification as a journeyman electrician, and that is something that I've been able to do to make money for my family and have a reasonable life and raise a family and all that good stuff, right? So those kinds of practical things matter. We don't want to just focus on our passion and say that must be our job. Instead, we want to find a way to make money to empower our passions, right? So if you're really into making tiny birdhouses, maybe that's not a scalable business, but you're a firefighter and you make your money by being a firefighter and then making tiny birdhouses on your off season. I don't know. But whatever it is, regardless, there are some very particular things we can follow that will allow us to succeed. So let's talk about the first one. If it can be learned in a day, it doesn't pay, okay? That's the first saying that we need to get in our heads. If it's a low skill thing that can be done, like basic labor, sweeping floors, bussing tables, that kind of stuff, it's not going to pay you well enough to sustain your income for the rest of your life. So it has to be a skill that requires some degree of training, some degree of competency, and some degree of intellectual or craftsmanship horsepower, all right? We all have different limitations. Some of us can do engineering, some of us cannot do engineering, some of us can go to med school, some of us can't even pass the first aid course, right? So we are limited kind of within the realm of our intellectual capacity, but that doesn't mean we don't have anything that we could do that can provide value to other people. So we need to be looking for ways to provide value to other people. So the most simple way I've heard of explaining this that works is you need to find a skill that 10% of people need, okay? 10% of people need 100% of the time, okay? Whoopsies. Okay, so you need a skill that 10% of people need 100% of the time. That's going to allow you to have a market that you can sell your skill to. And I say 10% of people because there's different niches, but you don't want to get so niche that you're restricted and that your money-making ability is confined if that market niche collapses, okay? So 10% of people is not that many people. That just means generally. So you want to look for general skills, right? And then the other thing that you want is you want it to be a 1% skill. 1% of people have that skill. Okay, so that's 1%, less than 1%, okay? So less than 1% of people have that skill. So that sounds daunting, right? You're like, what? 1 in 100? That's crazy. But it's not really that crazy. There's lots of skills like this, okay? The world is complex. It's made up of lots of different moving parts. There are lots of different things that you can do in the modern world to make money. And being in 1% of people isn't that hard because there's way more than 100 jobs out there. So the best example that I could find of this was plumbers. So plumbers make up about, so plumbers are 0.2% of the population, okay? That's a rare skill. That means that there are 200 people out there who either need to watch a lot of YouTube to fix their pipes or get their bathroom renovated, or they need to call a plumber. That is a less than 1% skill, right? And plumbers make great money. Although it is a skilled trade, you need to go to about four years of trade school plus apprenticeship, right? But that's a rare skill that you can have that's less than 1%, and at least 10% of people, because 10% of people own homes or live in places that have plumbing, they will need it 100% of the time. The plumbing's always going to be there, right? That's the best example that I can think of. There's other examples, right? Like people need ambulance workers or paramedics, right? That's more than 10% of people need that. Probably not 100% of the time, but these numbers are interchangeable. The more you have this, the less percentage of the time you need, because the market share is still there, if that makes sense. Okay, so you need to be willing to go where the work is as well. And this with young people is something that I see, and even older people, is something that I see a lot, is people think that they're going to be able to make a lot of money and they're going to be able to stay in their town of 5,000 people and they're going to be able to have a job and have a life and have a family, and that's just not the case. In our world, we've kind of globalized and people are going to these large municipal centers, so unless you're a large-scale grain farmer or a rancher, you're not really going to be able to live in the country and make a really great living unless, of course, you're serving those farmers or ranchers with some sort of product or skill, like you're a farrier, you fix tractors, that sort of thing. So you need to be willing to move where the work is, okay? Move where the work is. Okay? The work is going to be all over. So if you say work in shipyards, you're going to have to move to the coast if that's your qualification, right? And if the work dries up there, you might have to go to the other coast, depending where you live. I'm thinking Canada, so I'm thinking East Coast and West Coast. But you have to be willing to move where the work is if you want to succeed, because the work is it's going to go where the highest density of population and need is. If you're unwilling to move, you may not be able to achieve the kind of success that you're looking for. And like I said, I'm not talking about millions. I'm just talking about enough to have a place to live, have a family, eat some nice food, maybe, I don't know, go to Drumheller, see the dinosaur museum. It's very cool. But all of those things are reasonable things. But like I said, you need 10% of people to need your skill 100% of the time. You need a less than 1% skill, right? So less than 1% of people have that skill, and you need to be able to move where the work is, all right? The final thing that I want to say is that you are not what you do. Okay, especially in our society, one of the main questions that people will ask, especially guys will ask other guys, is what do you do for work, right? And it's this huge piece of identity that we attach to ourselves and that we allow to create this whole persona so that we feel like what we do is all encompassing, it's everything. We are what we do, but you're not what you do. You could do a whole bunch of different things. You could work on septic tanks, you could be driving trucks, you could be doing fabrication, but you're not just a septic worker or a fabricator or a truck driver. You are an individual and you can pursue your passions and the things that you love outside of the thing that you do. But we need to make sure that we have skills that are marketable so that we can make the money to be able to do the things that we want to do, okay? So we don't want to get trapped by thinking there's an easy way to succeed, right? That there's some easy shortcut to success. Because if we get stuck in that trap, we're going to waste our time not actually building the skills that we need to make money and survive in the world, right? We want to be able to make money and have a good life and go places and do good things. You're not what you do. I am not just an electrician, right? I'm a youth worker, like I run a youth center and I coach jujitsu and I also happen to do electrical, right? But I am not those things. I'm more passionate about teaching people what actual life looks like than I am about doing electrical or making the lights turn on or putting in VFDs or whatever. So those are the points of how to actually succeed. If this has been helpful for you, you feel free to like and subscribe. I also have a book that's called The Young Man's Manifesto that has many other helpful tips such as this and other things that you can buy if you want. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks. Bye.